everyone, welcome to another episode of So Not Scary. Today we're going to see how we can make this adorable mini sewing machine cover using some scrap fabric and some buttons. Let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to measure the width of my mini sewing machine and the circumference. I'll add 4 inches to the circumference and 1 inch to the width. I've got some fabric that I'm going to first start by ironing out, and then once I've ironed it out, I'm going to sandwich the top 2 fabrics together facing each other and clip them together using these cute little clips. I really do like these clips. And then also a simple straight stitch all across the top where the 2 fabrics meet. As I sew, I'm going to keep removing the clips, and I'm done in no time. That was super easy. Now I'm going to fold the seam on over to one side and press it down. Now that it's pressed down, I'm going to top stitch the whole thing one more time so that the seam stays flat and doesn't get bunched up or bulky underneath the fabric. So it's super easy, and I'm not backstitching or anything. Now I've got some interfacing that I've cut out to the sizes I mentioned earlier. I'm going to hot press it onto the back of that front fabric. Once that's pressed down, I'm going to use a pair of scissors and cut away the extra untidy fabric all the way around. I'm going to place a front fabric facing down onto the backing fabric, and I'll use some clips to clip the whole thing all the way around. Once the fabrics are clipped together, I'll take a Sharpie and mark out 2 points on one edge of the fabric to remember to keep that part open, and then I'll sew all the way around except for between those 2 points. This time I'll use a pair of small scissors to press down on the presser foot so that my needle goes through all the layers without skipping any stitches. As I come across any clips, I'm going to keep removing them, and this process is just really smooth, really easy. Just keep going nice and slow. Lift the presser foot at every corner and swivel the project around at 90 degrees, and it's done in no time. I'm going to knot the remaining threads into a double knot to secure the project and snip off the excess. Now I'm going to take a big pair of scissors and cut away the extra untidy fabric. I'm also going to use the same scissors to snip away the bulk at the corners of the project. So here are the corners, and as you can see, I'm just snipping away the extra fabric and interfacing without touching the stitch line to remove the bulk. Now between those 2 spots, I'm going to put my hand inside and turn the corners right side out. Now I'll take something sharp and pointy to poke out the corners. So I'm using the back of a paintbrush to do this, to make sure the corners are nice and neat. Finally, I'll turn the edges in at that opening and press the whole thing out. Guys, if this is making sense, please do give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Let's move on and continue with our project. So now that it's nice and ironed out, there's still the opening there. We need to seal that. So I'm going to sew a straight stitch all the way around the fabric on my mini sewing machine. I'm using this magnetic seam guide to make sure that I'm sewing straight lines, because the presser foot is a bit wobbly on the mini sewing machine. But with a little pressure on the presser foot and using the seam guide, we managed to sew some really nice, really neat straight stitches all the way around that long rectangle. So the stitching's nearly done. Now I'll take a sharp awl and poke a hole in the fabric where I need my butt buttons. So there is a hole. I'm going to use a snap stud kit to insert the snap studs in position and press them down with the pliers, and the male component is inserted like this. Now I'll take a paper and a pencil and mark out a template for those two knobs on the front of the mini sewing machine, just rough little circles. I will neaten it up using a compass, so here it is, and we're just going to draw a nice neat circle all the way around, making sure that the lines are dark enough for us to see. So once those circles are drawn, I'll use a knife to pierce each circle, and then I'll take a sharp pair of scissors to cut those circles out. You want to make sure that your lines are as smooth as possible so that your circles cut out really nice and neat, because this will be the template to make the holes in our fabric. So as you can see, the circles are a little bit snug. I will be opening up the fabric a little bit more as compared to this template. Now I'm marking out the circles on the fabric where I want the holes to be. And now that the holes are marked out, I'm going to sew a straight stitch all the way around that circle that I just made. And to reinforce it, I'm actually going to do this twice all the way around. This is a long and tedious process slightly, because you have to turn the fabric quite a bit, so you have to stop and turn, but just keep with it and you'll get there soon enough. And before long, there's a nice ring of stitches going all the way around that circle, which will reinforce the hole and make sure that the fabric doesn't fray as we're using this cover for the mini sewing machine. Now I'm going to take the knife and pierce a hole through the fabric in the middle of the circle, and using a pair of really sharp scissors, I'm going to cut out that fabric on the inside of that circle to make the hole. So you have to make sure that your scissors are really very sharp to get into all those little corners as close to the stitch line as possible without actually cutting the thread. Once that's done, we're going to move on, and here I am repeating the same process with the second hole. So I'm just turning the project round and round to make those stitches. Now it's time to prepare the machine for the cover. So remove everything and then put the cover on, put the knobs through the holes, and then wrap it around really tightly to figure out where the lower buttons are going to sit. Where will the female component sit? Clip the cover together and mark out the position of the lower studs with a pencil. And then using the awl, poke your holes through and insert the female components using the cam snap pliers, and it's done in no time. The female components are inserted. So there you have it, that's the cover. We're going to now place it on our mini sewing machine properly. So wrap your foot pedal up, put it in, and now cover the mini sewing machine properly. Fix the snap studs where they belong, and there it is, you're done. Your mini sewing machine is now securely covered, and here's my big sewing machine that I covered using a similar cover. If you like this video, please do give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I hope this was helpful for you and that it inspired you to sew a cover for yourself. Thank you very much, and I'll see you soon.